Welcome to this week's episode of Sports and Comedy with Connor. There's a lot to talk about this week, so let's get right into it. How is everybody doing? It is February 13th, Saturday at 1:38 p.m. My name is Connor, and thanks for listening in. I got a lot of feedback from last week's episode that was just very, very helpful, so I'm going to try to do my best to implement them and improve every week. I was so quiet, I apologize for that. It's a little bit weird talking to yourself. It's a little bit of a skill I need to work on, but I'm getting there. If you are listening, I appreciate it so much, and if you enjoy it, please tell a friend. And also, don't forget to rate and subscribe to help a brother out. Anyways, let's get right into it. Well, the big game was last week. The NFL season is over. Who the hell saw that coming, right? I sure as hell didn't. The defending world champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, got their asses whooped by Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, damn, I was confident too. But, did I bet on them and lose money? Yeah, of course I did. I'm honestly convinced I'm a jinx. Every time I make a bet, something wild happens. Last time it happened was the Michael Chandler fight. I thought for sure it was either going to be a Michael Chandler decision or a Dan Hooker finish, and what was it, first round KO. Don't need shit like that happening. Ryan, if you are listening, I hope you enjoy my money. Buy yourself a purse or something. Anyway, let's talk about the big game. I expected a shootout. I think a lot of people did. I definitely didn't expect what happened to happen. Even though the Chiefs had so many offensive line problems, I still had a feeling that Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid would have something up their sleeve. I mean, you can't really blame Pat Mahomes. I mean, honestly, or Andy Reid, I'm not really sure who to blame other than the offensive line. But, I mean, Pat Mahomes did everything he could. I mean, that play where he was literally falling over and throws a sidearm pass while his entire body is parallel to the ground and hits the guy in the face mask for a drop. I mean, how do you even go back to the sideline and talk to your quarterback after that? I would feel like such a piece of shit. Damn, I think he had another play too where he got spun around 3 or 4 times, then threw the ball blindly like Ryan Fitzpatrick did a few weeks ago. And I think Tyreek Hill had to fly up and go over somebody, but Tyreek Hill's made that catch before, I mean, Pat Mahomes really did everything he possibly could to win this game, and it just wasn't enough. There was no help from the O-line at all. They were just outmatched. Shaq Barrett, Devin White, Ndamukong Suh, JPP, the whole squad, everybody just came to play, man. I mean, they were just lights out, on fire. The pass rush for Tampa Bay was just too much. Every single passing down, it felt like Mahomes was running for his life. I mean, he sort of was. I mean, like I said, he just had to throw a pass while he was parallel to the ground, but he ran for, I think its stat was 497 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's absolutely insane. And 0 touchdowns. I mean, when's the last time? I mean, I think they actually said it, never. He's never not scored a touchdown. That's insane. The game wasn't even close, though. I mean, the stats for the quarterbacks aren't, horribly different, but, I mean, the game wasn't even close. Brady ended up with 201 yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, and Mahomes had 270 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Those turnovers and the constant pressure from the defensive line and linebackers from the Buccaneers, those were the main factors in the loss for sure. But man, the Tampa Bay defense was on fire. I want to say it reminds me of the Broncos winning the Super Bowl against the Panthers, but it's more like when we got stomped by the Seahawks. That shit was tough to watch, man. We were all so hyped. And getting your ass kicked like that on the biggest stage in the world sucks. But the Broncos learned from it, made improvements, and got their revenge. I'm sure and expect the Chiefs to do the same. And damn, watching that with my wife, who's a diehard Kansas City Chiefs fan, born and raised in Kansas, she didn't even watch most of it. She was laying in bed pretty early on because it didn't look good early. And I would just every now and then hear her yell, "Hey, what's the score?" And I'd go, "Blah blah blah to 3, or blah 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 to 6, or blah 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 to 9." And at first she was like, "Oh, there's time left. It's only the second quarter." And then as time went on, I'd yell her out the score, and she'd go, "Oh, okay." And then I'd yell it out the next time. She goes, "Not looking good." So no one expected that. That was a rough one. The good news was, though, my wife made a hell of a spread of food. So I just sat there and gorged myself until the game was over. The only bright spot on the Chiefs side was Travis Kelce. He still managed to get 10 catches and 133 yards. The Chiefs just couldn't get anything else going. The deep ball was totally gone. Like I said before, that those defensive backs just killed it, man. They didn't let anything go, and the with that offensive line struggling so much and that defensive line of Tampa Bay killing it, there was just nothing to be done. I basically missed on all my bets except the coin toss, the over on the national anthem. Honestly, it was a tough one for most bettors unless you hammered the under, took the parlay with Gronk, Antonio Brown, and Leonard Fournette all to score with the Bucs winning. I mean, that was a pretty good payout. There was some funny name people were calling it, like the New Faces parlay or something. I mean, there's all the new guys, all the big names. It was a pretty big, long shot for them all to score, and it was funny that they all did. My other offensive standout was Leonard Fournette on the Buccaneers side. He looked like the LSU Fournette. He looked quick, strong, and decisive. He was running people over, and he was making it look easy. He was a lot of fun to watch. Fournette ended up with 16 carries for 89 yards and a touchdown, while also pulling in 4 catches for 46 yards. I understand why Tom Brady won MVP. He went to his 10th Super Bowl and won his 7th. And he played well, don't get me wrong, but this part sort of reminded me of Peyton Manning winning his first Super Bowl. Many people, myself included, felt that Dominic Rhodes deserved to win the MVP for that final drive. I would have given it personally to Fournette. He had the biggest impact, in my opinion, because he ran so much time off the clock. He was very efficient, and his touchdown was the one that sealed the game. Overall, this game was a bit of a letdown for me, and probably many people watching it. But it did finally convince me of Tom Brady's greatness. I know he didn't play all that well, but the fact that he's able to get here year after year and win, 70% of the time, he's the GOAT, and I'm gonna start putting respect on his name. I'm still probably gonna talk some shit though, especially if he keeps crying and kissing people on the mouth. That's it for the big game. Let's get into this Houston disaster. Let's start with Deshaun Watson. He asked for a trade on January 28th from the Texans, who are straight up imploding. They have yet to admit that he is even up for trade, even though the rumors of trade destinations are constant. The main two currently are the Denver Broncos and the San Francisco 49ers. Both of these teams are young, but San Francisco has more star power, in my opinion. I think most people would agree with that. However, I imagine that the Broncos would be willing to give up more for him. What would I be cool with giving up for him? I think he's worth 2 first-round picks. I usually would think that is too high, but the Broncos haven't been able to draft well anyways, so why not give up 2 lottery tickets for a bona fide winner? Also, I imagine the Texans would have a high asking price, so probably a player or two would need to be traded as well. The first name that comes to mind is Von Miller. Now I love Von Miller, and I don't want to get rid of him, but if it meant we finally got our franchise quarterback in exchange for an aging superstar, I'd be all for it. Personally, I don't think he'll get traded. If I were the Texans, I'd trade him to a team who needs a quarterback with a high draft pick. Someone like the Jaguars or Jets, but I seriously doubt that happens. Which brings me to J.J. Watt. The Texans grant is released yesterday, Friday the 12th, after Watt sat down with the McNair family and expressed his want to test the market and not go through a rebuild. He posted a video on Twitter, too, that was really genuine and, letting his fans know that he loves Houston. He'll always love Houston. But, he wants to get a championship, and I don't blame him. I, for one, am all for this. J.J. Watt has been one of the best NFL pass rushers for 10 years. And as of late, he has had a bit of an injury bug, but what aging defensive superstar doesn't? Especially at his position. This does sort of remind me of the DeMarcus Ware signing by Denver. Where, DeMarcus Ware had been with the Cowboys forever. They spent year after year after year failing in December or earlier than that. And then, once Peyton came to town, he followed suit and he played a lot of snaps, but playoff time and definitely Super Bowl, he was just rotating in for passing downs and key moments, and it worked great. He either Von Miller forced a fumble and DeMarcus Ware recovered it in the Super Bowl. I'd expect him to go somewhere like Tampa, Kansas City, Green Bay, or possibly Pittsburgh. Although I'm not quite convinced that Pittsburgh is a place I'd go if I was ring chasing. Perhaps playing alongside his brother, though, would be more important to him than winning a championship. I know my brother and I would have killed each other if we played together. Another possible destination could be Chicago, considering his wife plays professional soccer there. I just truly hope he signs with a winner and gets a ring. He was too good for too long to not get a championship. Not to mention how much incredible work he did for Houston amid a hurricane. So good luck to J.J. Watt. But man, I don't know about the Texans. They're just, like I said before, they're imploding. And they were a playoff team. 2 or 3 years ago? They had Deshaun Watson throwing to nobody, and he almost had 5,000 yards. I think he had 4,800 something. Normally, I'm not the kind of guy that's like, if he signs with anywhere, there'll be a winner. But they might. He signs with anywhere that has weapons, even if they're undeveloped. He had Will Fuller last year, and he threw for 4,800 yards. So how crazy is it to think that if he goes to Denver, somewhere like that, he has a hopefully healthy Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick's coming into his own, Noah Fant's looking good, Melvin Gordon hopefully sticks around, Philip Lindsay probably. Is that not a major upgrade from Will Fuller and whoever else he was throwing the ball to? And Duke Johnson, David Johnson? If you ask me, if I'm Deshaun Watson and I actually was getting traded, which I'm still iffy on if that's even happening, but if I was him, I would probably want to go somewhere like Denver that has the cap room, has the young talent, and has the ability to give up stuff for you. And especially if he were to come here, work out something with George Patton, and, have a little bit of say in free agency and drafting. I'm not saying give him the reins, to give him the keys of the castle or anything like that, but, what's to say he can't come here and say, hey, I can maybe use one more blank, fill in the blank. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think that's it for today. Thank you to everyone who listened, and thank you to everyone who has continued to listen. I'm going to try to continue and improve every week and hopefully make these things a bit longer. Special thank you to ProFootballReference.com for all the stats for the show. Thank you to anyone who has subscribed and left me a rating. And if you are listening now, a special extra thank you again. And tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so I'd like to give a very special shout out to my wife, Kate. I love you with all my heart. Happy Valentine's Day. And to everyone else, this has been Sports and Comedy with Connor. I'm Connor. Have a great day. I'll see you next week.